I recently beat Doom 2 for the first time, and I had quite a bit of fun with this retro FPS, and while I wouldn't call it perfect, it's certainly very enjoyable all these decades later. I want to start my review off by talking about the Super Shotgun, a powerful double-barrel shotgun that can one-hit many enemies, and can sometimes eliminate multiple foes at once if they're close enough to each other. While it doesn't have as much range as the normal shotgun, it deals 3 times as much damage as a single round from the pump action while only using 2 shells per blast, assuming what I read is correct. While doing some research looking into the exact specs of the 2 shotguns, multiple websites said that the Super Shotgun does thrice the damage of a single normal shell, although I honestly just assumed it would be double, cause, you know, it's a double-barrel shotgun. But anyways, it is a great gun, and I had a lot of fun using it, although it was the only new firearm that Doom 2 added to the franchise. And before we go any further, please note that I'm reviewing this game without any mods. While I was talking about this game with some people on Vivaldi Social, some users there were like, well, if you download this mod or use that mod. No, I don't review modded games, I look at them without mods. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Moving on to discuss the controls, they are great for someone like myself who's in the process of learning to play with a keyboard and mouse, as the controls are very simple, and since this game sort of has an auto-aim, that made things a lot easier than games that require more precision, and the only thing I really struggled with was changing weapons sometimes, so this is a game to consider if you want to get better with a mouse and keyboard. And yes, the GOG version of this game does support a controller for anyone who wants to play the game that way. Changing gears to talk about the other weapons of Doom 2, you have a pretty fair arsenal of weapons outside of the aforementioned shotguns, like a weak pistol and a sick minigun, which both draw from the same ammo supply. You also had a missile launcher, which dealt out heavy shot-per-shot damage, although it has the risk of splash damage, so I would not recommend it for close-quarter encounters. In addition to these, you hold the plasma rifle and the BFG, which are high damage energy weapons which share an ammo reserve, with the plasma rifle rapidly firing out a stream of, plasma, and the BFG shoots out massive energy blast which can one-hit most enemies, although it has a very slow rate of fire and each shot uses a crap ton of ammo, but it was very helpful against certain opponents and in tight spots. And I can't help but think of the movie BFG whenever I use this gun, and in that film, BFG means Big Friendly Giant, just something I wanted to throw out there. Apart from your ranged weapons, you also have a couple melee options, with one being weak spiked knuckles and the other being a brutal chainsaw, which was fun to use, but it's not super practical against more than a single enemy. Your arsenal out of the way, I would like to discuss enemy variety, something that Doom 2 definitely excels in, having you fight things like various humanoids armed with shotguns or chain guns, annoying robo-spiders, some sort of a brown monster called a pain elemental that can launch flaming skulls at you, and the list just goes on and on. I certainly appreciate the large selection of enemies that this title offers. Doom 2 also has several boss fights, which were pretty enjoyable, although I honestly couldn't quite figure out how to beat the final boss, and I admittedly had to look up a tutorial online. I understood the part about having to shoot the exposed brain area of the final boss, but I didn't know that you had to use rockets, which was where I struggled. But other than that, I beat the game without any outside help. Switching over to other things, I would like to brush up on the level design. I won't lie, I found some of the more puzzle-like levels to be rather annoying, as I'm someone who doesn't like puzzles that much, and several levels took me over 20 minutes to finish due to me struggling to find key cards or being uncertain as to where I should go. But finishing these more complex levels always felt great, and gave me a sense of accomplishment that not many modern shooters have. While I do appreciate newer shooters like Call of Duty telling you where you need to go and practically holding your hand the entire time so that you never get lost, I do also appreciate having games that make you pay attention to your surroundings and forcing you to use your brain a bit, something that not a lot of newer FPSs do. Although thankfully, some modern shooters like Hunkenstein keep the spirit of encouraging you to explore and having you figure things out on your own. Something else I would like to talk about is power-ups. Doom 2 is a fair selection of neat temporary power-ups, like one granting partial invisibility, or another that makes you invincible, with the downside of your vision being white, so it's kinda hard to see anything. Everything is a trade-off, as the saying goes. Graphically, this game looks great for the time, with good sound effects and a pretty nice soundtrack. Performance-wise, the game ran near flawless, other than a couple issues saving, but it's not anything that's really worth mentioning. Story-wise, as is the case with a lot of shooters from the time, there's not a lot going on here, but you do get some story tidbits for you to read after defeating bosses. Also, this game does have some good horror elements tossed in, like seeing tortured and mutilated bodies in some areas, so a plus there. Do I have any negatives with this game? Not really, although I wouldn't have minded if this title was a wee bit shorter. Overall, I give Doom 2 a 8.5 out of 10 by my grade scale, a blast from the past that's totally worth giving a spin if you haven't already tried it. As far as similar games I can suggest, I would say Duke Nukem 3D or Super 3D Noah's Ark, both of which I have reviewed by the way. Links will be in the end cards if you want to check them out. As far as our Bible verse of the day goes, I read from James 2:26 NIV, "As the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without deeds is dead." And that wraps up my video for today, folks. I hope y'all enjoyed, and thanks a lot for watching. Sorry if my voice is off. I'm fighting some nasty allergies right now, and I hope I get better soon. For any newcomers here, I mostly play, review, and discuss zombie and horror games, so feel free to check out some of my other vids if that sounds interesting. And if I cover another Doom game in the near future, it will most likely be Doom 64. And feel free to leave review requests in the comments, although please note that I can never guarantee a review. As always, none of my content is made by AI, and I don't consent to my voice and likeness being modified, altered, or copied by AI in any way. Jesus loves you all, never forget that. Peace.